Hey guys, this is Gaijin Hunter and welcome to my spoiler-free review of Monster Hunter Stories 3. Huge thanks to Capcom for giving me early access so that I could review the game and prepare some helpful videos early in the launch window. Monster Hunter Stories 3 is one of the best Monster Hunter games ever made. It stands on the shoulders of the first two games and is an absolute love letter to the fans of the series. I had high expectations for this game going in, but man, it still managed to blow me away. Some very quick housekeeping. 1. No, you do not have to have played any of the previous two games. While I still recommend that you go and play Stories 2, it's a fabulous game, the Stories games are all very standalone experiences. 2. Where Stories 1 was more like kids and learning what a rider is versus what a hunter is, Stories 2 was more like teen, more of an adventure, exploring different regions and cultures. And now for Stories 3, the story and themes are much more mature and focuses actually on more political and environmental drama. 3. The demo is the first half of Chapter 1 in the game. It's not like a demo, it's the actual game. So you can go and play it and get a feel for if the game is for you, and all your progression will carry over. The only major thing missing from the demo is the ability to transfer traits and skills between monsters, which is a huge part of the gameplay loop. But makes sense that they wouldn't include that because you could probably play the demo for 100 hours at that point if they did. And finally, this game has a ton of content. While the critical path of the story will take around 50 hours, it has well more than double that if you want to collect all the monsters and do all the quests. Art and setting. The Stories games have always looked really good, but this game is really something. The art style, the animations, the colorful environments, the cinematic flair that is given to each monster is truly a delight. Chef kiss all the way. I really have no critiques on this front. I want them to use this engine and the models to make more games. It really is, in my view, an artistic achievement. Streamlined but not dumbed down. Almost all friction points were removed. You unlock customization options very early, and there's no arbitrary point costs of doing it. The game very much wants you to have fun and experiment to your heart's content. Game overs, accidentally throwing away a monster you wanted to keep, nothing in this game is hard to get back. While some people might like the high stakes of losing progression in some games and the focus that it creates, this is a cozy game, but it certainly does have its challenges, but the game is more like a hot cup of cocoa during the winter. The way they scale experience points also makes it so that your player level really dictates where the ceiling is at any given time, so new monsters can catch up very fast. The only grinding that you really do is the grinding that you want to do, and there's tons of reasons to blow 5 to 10 hours here and there just repopulating regions with monsters you want to make the dream team of your choice for that particular point in the story. My daughter had discovered an entire cave system and underground region complete with a boss and new monsters all in one chapter when I was already in a later chapter. It's that sense of discovery that I find really fascinating in this game, so I don't plan to make any videos on where to find stuff, as really I think that is half the fun this time around. Like, I'm sure people will make guides and you should check them out if you're stuck and getting frustrated, but I honestly don't think you will. The maps are big, but they're not just open big, they're more dense, and I think you're going to discover everything that you need to and want to if you just get a little curious and go off the beaten path. Crafting new weapons and armor is super simple. It only takes the materials, there's no annoying currency like Zenny. Leveling up decorations is done simply by obtaining a decoration that you already have. So let's say you buy a fire attack up small, and then you find a fire attack deco in the field in a hidden chest, it'll just upgrade it to medium. Let's say you find an NPC quest that will give you the same decoration. Well, now it becomes L, and then finally XL for like the big boost. Nothing is random, which means that you'll always get the rewards that you want for all your efforts. Upgrade a weapon you may not ever plan to use, and you'll still get a skill decoration that allows you to add skills that you might want for a weapon that doesn't have that skill. Max out an armor to get a decoration you might find useful as well. There are incentives for literally everything you do in this game, and all the rewards feel meaningful. The menu UI in particular is praiseworthy, especially after the disaster which I found with Monster Hunter Wilds. Little things like knowing that the player will likely just craft everything, so making it really fast to do, defaulting the choice to do not equip afterwards so you can just move on to the next. All those little things really add up, and it just removes all the stress that usually comes with navigating menus in games. The presentation is super clean, text is easy to read and sized nicely, just got that level of polish that you normally only see on games by Nintendo. Progression. The game features a staggering amount of content that is optional. As such, I highly recommend that you enjoy the side stories of each of your team members and hunting for new monsters or creating new monsters or mutations in the regions that you run into sort of as you play. Similar to the Tower in Stories 1 or the Elder's Lair in Stories 2, a harder endgame content, so to say, is all but guaranteed to come post-launch and bring with it reasons to really go nuts with your min-max and team compositions. They could have featured each area in each region with its own little story and cutscenes, but that would have bloated the story out, so instead they just leave it up to the adventure to have and save the story moments for key beats, which I personally really enjoyed. After all, the focus of this game is very much on the monsters, the world, enjoying the battling, gathering, customization, and the flashy, expressive skills of the monsters. Game composition, there are really three major areas to talk about: story, adventure, and battles. Story is easy. The structure I loved. It wasn't too much. It wasn't afraid to just assume that we as players could figure out what riders were, what they were talking about, so there isn't too much exposition. The NPC teammates are all very interesting and have fun side stories to play through each chapter. The English dub was good, but I do feel that while they nailed characters like Eleanor, Cora, Ogden, Gaul, and Thea, there's one character in particular, this goofy guy named Corbin and his Palico PK, who is by far my favorite character in the Japanese version. But in the English dub, I didn't feel like his special blend of humor and airheadedness really translated over at all. I don't personally like human versus human conflicts, so having the story only bringing in as the main driving force for each chapter, that really just introduces the new fields instead of just being a constant thing in the background that is hanging over us, was actually quite a relief. Adventure. If you played the demo, then you already know, but this game basically gives you the keys to the car from the get-go. You get monsters that can fly, swim, dash, jump, and climb all within the first hour. They designed the maps exquisitely well, so when you're traversing using your monsters, it's super fun, and they still manage to hide a lot of stuff in each field. Like, there are monsters and bosses I didn't even know existed until I was roaming around on a side quest or just gathering items. Each map is dense but not stupidly large, so zipping around and using the fast travel will let you get anywhere really fast. One of my complaints about the mainline series recently is that the monsters aren't focused on enough in the gameplay mechanics, like decorations that are RNG or weapons that just, come out as RNG. Like, I don't like those. I like to see the attributes and the personality of the monsters reflected in everything in the universe. Stories 3 really answers this gripe of mine, as the monsters act sort of like pets and mascots, so they go together very well with the personality of their riders. They cover everything from cool, cute, and goofy. There's just so much love woven into designs in the game and how the towns incorporate monster motifs in all the different architecture, just like everything. It's a world I literally wish I could live in. The third and most crucial component of this game, of course, is battle. They had a really fun idea with the rock, paper, scissors-like aspect in Stories 1, and they really gave it a lot more depth in Stories 2. I was afraid they might change it up too much, but the game designer and director knew that the learning or relying on your intuition of a monster to guess what it might do and then being able to sort of cancel them out of it is one of the main joy factors of this game. So they wanted to keep that aspect while spicing up the selection of tactics you could use. They introduced a new Wyvern Soul gauge which acts like a stamina bar. Let's say you're facing a monster that does a huge AoE that will wipe out the entire team when it goes enraged. This is one of those games where it's more about the tactics than it is the sets that you have on. Like, you can have an endgame set and still get wiped by an early monster if you're just not paying attention or doing the right thing. So one idea is that you could tactically deplete their stamina right before that turn, so that before they wind up and do that attack, they'll be exhausted and they'll miss on their attack. Or instead you can focus on your roster of monsters to break parts and get staggers, or any other slew of options. The threat of crystallized body parts you can't attack without getting countered, the fabulous implementation of weapon damage types like slash, pierce, and blunt, along with the speed, power, and tech color system really is perfect harmony. I don't know how they can make it any better. It really makes each battle more strategic while not being overbearing. And the game knows this as well, so you aren't made to battle that much. If you just want skills and stats, you can just go on egg collecting. If you want EXP, you can level up very fast due to how they scale it by the level of the monsters. And you also unlock auto kill for monsters that are significantly lower level than you, offering a way to quickly farm materials on the overworld for, let's say, armor, or to quickly go into a battle and end it to earn some EXP to buff up your new monsters. I love that the kinship gauge is no longer used as the currency for skills, but now each monster and rider has their own stamina gauge to use. This just adds in yet another element you can choose to specialize in if you please. This is kind of like Magic the Gathering or Yu-Gi-Oh, where you can you got your deck and there's different strategies that you can use to approach each situation, and just figuring out what is more fun for you is really the joy of the game. My daughter and I had completely different approaches to battle, and it was fascinating to us to both watch the other play. I often opted for status ailments and Wyvern soul gauge depletion, where she was much more into the head-on-head wins and dual attacks. Not only did we use very different monsters, but the ones that we both used were customized in a way that made them play completely different. All this is married by the customization system. No longer are there any restrictions on swapping skill panels on the 9x9 grid. You don't even lose the monster that you take a skill from, and there's no limit to how many times or where you can move a panel, meaning complete freedom. When you score an egg that has a monster that, let's say, has a skill panel for health boost L, you know that it's a win. You can take that skill passive and move it around to other monsters without limit. You can even move skills temporarily to one monster for a boss battle, and then move them back off as well afterwards. It just makes the gathering process very meaningful. And for when you have excess of monsters that you don't need, there's that whole habit restoration system, which is brilliant. You can choose up to 5 monsters to populate an area with, on top of the 5 that are native to that area. With that, you can add in extra elements to monsters by having them sort of populate areas, let's say a fire area. So even if it's a water monster, they'll get a dual element on there once they level up. You can also introduce new types that can cause mutations and get new subspecies, all sorts of really cool stuff. You can try this out in the demo already, so highly recommend you try it if you haven't already. So you can just go gather monsters, take off any skill panels you want to keep, choose a region, and then just release them there. And then the more you release, the higher rank it'll get. Once you get eggs up to S rank, which is quite easy to do and doesn't take that many releasing of monsters, you can start getting eggs for that monster where you can get your Forever Boy. Your S rank monster that has, the top skills that it can get. Not only does it get an upgraded version of their unique skill, but also unlocks like special egg skills depending on the region and monster type, and you can even create, again, those dual element monsters for more customization. The way they have it done, the only thing that you can't change later for a monster is their native element. Eventually you can change out their skills, you can change out their passive buffs, their region buffs, all the kind of stuff. So if you have an S rank monster that you got early in the game, it'll still be very viable later as you start moving on and customizing it and adding different skills. There are some other systems when it comes to the customization that I'm not going to cover here, but I think overall the UI for all this was well done. The system is intuitive, and this is really where you'll be getting a lot of your gameplay from. It's so fun. I just can't help but say that this game is essentially perfect. Of course, there's no such thing as a perfect game. I do have, there's areas for improvement and expansion, but it sets out to do what it wanted, and it nailed it in every area that counts. It's simply phenomenal. So do I have any critiques? Well, sure, yeah, I do have a few. First, the game continues the Capcom tradition of not telling you exactly what a skill is meaning to do. So when it says it slightly raises your attack, modestly raises your attack, or greatly increases your attack, it's really going to be up to the community effort to help flesh out exactly what that means, so we can make more educated choices on what skills we want. The voice acting could have been better for some characters like Corbin, which I mentioned earlier. There should be a way to see how many of each monster that you've defeated, because that'll let you identify a monster that you have bred, you captured eggs for, you've repopulated areas with, but you never actually faced it and defeated it on the map, which is why you don't have its armor or weapons. Just having a way to track that would be nice. The lack of any co-op option is disappointing, because in Stories 2, the co-op, although it was kind of a side thing, it was really well done and quite fun. And I hope it's something that they do add in post-launch. But, if this was all in service, like they said, of letting them focus on the core game and getting it right, I can't argue with that. Like, they made the right choice because the core game is excellent. I hope at the time of this video or soon after we'll have an update on when we can expect some post-game content, as there's still that traditional high-rank dungeons that I'm sure they'll add because they're in every Stories game. But in the meantime, there is an insane amount of stuff to do, so it's kind of okay. Again, a lot of content here is optional, and you could just miss it if you're just beelining the story. So even post-story, so to say, you still have a lot of very hard battles to do, including the Elder Dragons that appear in each major region, which I really enjoyed, making them into forces of nature and not something malicious or evil. What can I say? I'm gushing, my thoughts are not organized, and you know what? That's okay. I'm enthusiastic about this game, and I think you'll love it too. Again, check out the demo. It does a very, very good job of displaying the gameplay and what you can expect from it, so if you just give that an honest try, I think you can make an educated choice. I hope this review was helpful or entertaining, and I hope you enjoy the game as much as I am if you decide to pick it up. Hope you guys have fun, and until next time, happy riding.